Hi world, it's Keely and I'm back for another video. This is going to be the start of a reading vlog for this week. Now that my class is over, I thought I would switch to reading vlogs instead of just doing course content. I finished a book this morning. I finally finished Murder by Cheesecake, which was by Rachel Ekstrom Courage. This is that Golden Girls murder mystery that I was hoping to read in April and didn't read in April, so I finally finished it this morning. Really enjoyed it. The other one that I have been reading is Witch King by Martha Wells. You can see I am just over halfway through this one. Really enjoying it, but this is the one that I read at night on my Kindle as I'm falling asleep. Have I picked up anything from my May TBR and it is the 12th of May? No, absolutely not. But I need to do that today. I want to pick up something else, but I'm really thinking like, I don't know if I want to stick to this TBR in May, even though it's literally only the second month of trying to do a friggin' standard TBR instead of just completely mood reading. Today, I need to figure out what book I want to read next because I really don't know what I'm in the mood for. I have a stack here on my desk of some of the shortest books on my shelves. I initially was starting a reading vlog of reading the shortest books on my shelves, and then I've just been reading them and not recording myself at all. So instead I'm just going to be reading them and then I'll talk about them when I do wrap-ups. So I could pick up one of those. I obviously have this full list. I also have those other stacks of books that I have been thinking about reading. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I just really need to look through and pick up something and get started with reading it. I just wanted to get this vlog started and hopefully be able to record over the next week of all of the books that I am reading and hopefully finishing, because in April I finished a crazy number of books and so far we're almost halfway through May and I've only finished I think 3 or 4. So I want to get those numbers up. I would like to read more, especially because I bought another book over the last couple days, and that is one that will take a while to get through because I'm not planning on just like sitting down and reading that one. But obviously I have plenty of options to choose from, so I just need to do that. So once I figure out what book I'm going to read, I'm going to get started on reading it, and then I will come back and update you later. Okay, it has been a few hours. I just got back from a run. I took my lunch break and went for a run. But I started a book earlier. I decided to start My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante because I purposefully bought this book to read in the spring. I thought it would be a good one for like a spring read. And I have such a habit of coming up with these ideas or like projects for reading and then not doing them. So I decided that I'm just gonna do it. So I grabbed this one and I started reading it. And as you can see, I'm not terribly far into it yet. But this one so far, the very beginning, this guy calls his mom's best friend and says like, my mom is missing, and she's like, okay, like whatever, your mom only said that she was gonna leave, so she probably left. And the guy is like not a good person and he's freaking out and he's trying to guilt trip the friend into letting him come stay with her, and she's like, no, you call me if you hear anything, bye. And then it starts the actual story, which is from the perspective of the friend telling her childhood story of how she met the missing person and their friendship developing. So the first section is on childhood and then it goes into adolescence, and so far I'm really enjoying it. This reminds me a lot of a different book I read about friendship, and ones that I've read where they're always from the perspective of the somewhat normal friend of the two who ends up becoming entwined with someone that's like way unhinged, and I really enjoyed that. So I am enjoying this one. So this is going to be the one that I am reading today. Okay, it is now Wednesday and I have some reading updates for you. I have been reading a lot more of Witch King by Martha Wells. You can see I am getting very close to the end. I'd say I have just under a third of the book left. Really enjoying it. Kind of disappointed that the next one doesn't come out for a little bit. I think it comes out in the fall, but I'm really enjoying this one. And I have been reading a ton of My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. So you can see I am now just over halfway through it. Really enjoying it. It's interesting the way that the main character is talking about and describing the character that the book is about, the actual friend. The friend's name is, I think, Leela, and she definitely, it feels almost as if like if this had like a turn of like, oh, she's actually a witch, like that would totally make sense. But I've just been marking off stuff that I've been really enjoying. Then today it is really overcast outside. I mean, it's bright. You can tell I'm sitting by my window. It's bright, but it's super overcast. It's been pouring all day and it's supposed to rain for the next few days. And I was like, I want to read spooky books. So I decided to pick up and start looking through the Book of English Magic, which is my newest book purchase. And this one is not one that I'm gonna like sit down and read my way through completely, but it has different sections in it that I would like to read. So I have my bookmark in the chapter that talks about King Arthur and Merlin and all of that. And so far I've read the introduction and kind of the very beginning parts of this book, where the authors are just kind of saying that the impetus for writing this was to put like a historical collection together of England's history, looking at magic and what it looks like now in England in terms of like bookstores, and talking about all the different famous magicians from over the years and stuff. And I just love learning about this stuff because I think it's really fun. But mostly I think it's just fun, but also it's really cool how people over the years have tried to explain the world and their experience through things like magic and alchemy and all of that. I just love that so much. So we'll be reading my way through sections of this one. And then I also decided to start this one, which I also just purchased in the last couple weeks. And I read the first couple chapters of this one. This is Hurricane Season by Fernanda Melchor, and it is translated by Sophie Hughes. So this is a book from a Mexican author, and it is about a village or a town that has a witch, and she ends up being murdered, and they discover the witch's body, and then you are told the perspective of what happened. Like, there's varying perspectives of different people within the town, so you get everyone's interpretation of who this woman was and what she did and how she ended up dead, and then their experiences living in the town. But every single person is an unreliable narrator, and so you get little snippets of the actual truth through each chapter. And so far it's really interesting. It definitely sounds like one that I would enjoy, but the writing style is not something that I would have typically enjoyed, because every page looks like this. Every page is basically a run-on sentence. And it's just, it's going to be a challenge for me to continue reading and get through, but I'm very much enjoying it so far. At the very, very beginning, the first chapter is a group of boys that were out like playing in the mud, digging up shit, and they end up coming across the witch's body. And then the next chapters are just the explanations of the witch living in this town, how people perceive her and how they would go to her for help, how primarily the women would go to her for help with social things and also with like medical issues. They went to her for cures and for potions and for curses and all kinds of stuff. And then also the way that the men in the town viewed the witch as someone that they could exploit and take advantage of. And so there's a lot of sexual violence so far towards the witch, but you also don't know if any of it actually happened or if it's just the way that the men talked about her. So she may have been assaulted multiple times, but we're also not sure. So it's really fascinating so far. I think it'll be the perfect book to read over the next couple days while it's going to be pouring, and it's pretty cold today, even though it's been warmer the last like couple weeks because we're moving into getting towards summer. But yeah, I'm really enjoying that one. Plans are just to continue reading. I would love to finish a couple books over the next few days if I could. Am I reading anything from my TBR? No, I've basically given up on the idea of reading anything from my May TBR for right now. And I'm just going to enjoy picking up random things. And then today I also want to make cookies. We got a Hungryroot box. So Hungryroot is not sponsored. It's one of those meal kits like HelloFresh, Blue Apron, all of those, but it is slightly different, that the meals are supposed to be a little bit healthier. They use way more different brands than HelloFresh. And we've used HelloFresh many times over the years, but Hungryroot also gives you way bigger portions or like ingredients. So if it was HelloFresh, like one of the meals we had was turkey and Swiss melts on these like flatbreads. And if it was HelloFresh, they would have given you enough turkey, enough Swiss, and enough flatbreads, and enough honey mustard that comes with it just to make those meals, and no more than that. But Hungryroot gave me a full pack of the flatbreads. So it's as if I went to the store and got a pack of flatbreads, a full container of honey mustard, and then also as if I had gone to the store and gotten slices of Swiss cheese and turkey, so that you can continue to make more of the food after you have the first meal. So far, I think for us, it's a better value than HelloFresh, but we've only tried one of the meals so far. Tonight, we're gonna do, there's a General Tso's chicken and vegetable medley thing that we'll be trying. I will report back on whether or not it will end up being worth it, but we tried a couple of Hungryroot meals when we were in Florida at my sister-in-law's house because they use Hungryroot pretty regularly, and we enjoyed the meals. So we'll see if this ends up working out. It's not going to be something that we order every week or even every month, but it's fun to try these meal kits that give you like new recipes and new ingredients to play with and stuff. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, the free thing that came with our box was edible cookie dough that it like you can eat it before you turn it into cookies, and it is almond chickpea cookie dough. And it's not the worst edible cookie dough that we've ever had, but I want to turn it, you can actually bake it and turn it into cookies. So I want to do that today and see if it tastes better as actual cookies versus just the weird cookie dough, because it has kind of a weird texture to it, which I assume is the chickpeas, but I'm not sure. I didn't pay for it. I got it for free. So we'll see if I end up enjoying it or not. But I want to do that and just a bunch of reading today. I have to go for a run at some point. I have work today, and just going to continue enjoying reading spooky books. Okay, I just made the cookies. So here's the cookie dough. It's almond chickpea. And they just came out, and this is what they look like. Not terrible. So I'll just let them cool for a while, and then I'll come try one, and we'll see. Maybe the weird cookie dough works better as actual cookies. Okay, I'm due for another update. It is Thursday. I couldn't remember what day it was. It is Thursday, and it's in the afternoon. I've just been working all morning. I have to leave early, though, because Zoe has a vet appointment this afternoon. She's just getting a nail trim, but then also we noticed a spot on her eye, and I don't know what it is, so she's gonna get checked out this afternoon. But let's do a reading update. I have been continuing to read Witch King at night, and now you can see I've got about 50 pages left. Really enjoying this one, but definitely thinking as I'm getting through it that like I will need to either film like a clip of me talking about the full summary of book 1, or like type it up so that when book 2 comes out, I can go back and reread it, because I'm enjoying this so much, and I'm afraid of losing all of it by the time book 2 comes out later this year. So I haven't figured out what I'm gonna do yet, but this one is really fun. I'm really enjoying it. Then, bad news. I am DNFing and getting rid of a book that I just bought this year. I tried reading Hurricane Season by Fernanda Melchor. This one is translated from Spanish. It's a Mexican author. And this one I talked about that the premise sounds so fascinating. Basically, there is a witch living in their community, or they refer to her as a witch. She's like the medicine person for their community. Other people go to her for like spells and potions and stuff. The women go to complain about their husbands and then try to get her to do spells to get their husbands to do what they want. The witch turns up dead, and then each chapter is basically from the perspective of someone else in the town and what they're going through, what they're living with, and then how they know the witch, and eventually leading to finding out who killed her, or like what happened that she ended up dead. And I think I also said in an earlier clip that this was going to be a challenging read because there are no paragraph breaks, and basically every page is like one continuous run-on sentence. But I was into it. I was like, okay, I've only read the first 3 chapters, so let's just keep going because I was enjoying it. I got to page like 50 and was like, I am not into this. The back of the book talks about how it takes place in like a small Mexican town where there's just a ton of violence, a lot of poverty, and it's a very like uncomfortable and violent place. And I was like, okay, let's see how this goes. Well, it is so violent and so kind of just in your face, where every child referenced is being abused. Every woman is being assaulted. Everyone hates each other. It was too much. Like, I don't think they mention a single female character that wasn't either talked about as if they were a piece of trash or sexually assaulted. And literally every single child is either like a complete douche or being abused or acting out because they're being abused. So then they're being a douche and then they're getting abused again. And it's too much. This is not for me. I'm not enjoying this. So I flipped to the back and I scanned a couple pages and figured out who killed the witch. And that's fine with me. I'm going to get rid of that one. So I'm not enjoying that one, which is such a bummer. However, I did start another one because of course I did. I decided to finally start Death in Midsummer and Other Stories by Yukio Mishima. This is my first Mishima, and I have had this on my shelf for a couple years, have really been wanting to read it. I just read the first story, which is called Death in Midsummer, and really enjoyed it. So I'm hoping that this is a good sign that I'm going to continue to enjoy these short stories. It's pretty short. There's only like 6 or 7 short stories. I think it's less than 200 pages or like just over 200 pages. I'm going to try to just read a couple stories a day and get this one done. I have not picked up in the last couple days My Brilliant Friend because I was trying to read the Hurricane Season book, and then I also have been reading through sections of this one, which is the Book of English Magic, and I read more of this one yesterday and this morning and really enjoyed it. But I think for now I'm done with it. I'm going to put it on my shelf and just have it as like a reference book that goes with all of my other books that I have about witchcraft and magic, because those are fun to read. So my plan is to try to finish up this one either today or tomorrow, and then pick another one that I can get started with. Maybe actually one from my May TBR, but probably not. We will see. And then continue to read the stories from Death in Midsummer and eventually go back to My Brilliant Friend. But I'm also just in a mood to start books, and I end up doing that and then getting really overwhelmed with how many books I'm starting and not finishing. So I already have started a whole bunch of books and I haven't completed them. So I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I just wanted to come on here and do a quick update. And then later this afternoon, like I said, I take Zoe to the vet, and then I don't know what we're going to end up doing. Oh, I did make those cookies. I did try them. And they were okay. So they smelled like chocolate chip cookies. They tasted like chocolate chip cookies, but you could definitely tell that like something was off about them, that it's just that they were made with chickpeas. And I cooked them, or I baked them for 15 minutes, like it said 14 to 16 minutes. So I was like, okay, let's do 15. And they were still incredibly gooey. And I don't know if that's because like I should have done them for 16 minutes or longer, or if because of the chickpeas, they were just always going to be gooey. But I didn't really like them. They were just so kind of weird. So because we didn't pay for it, I don't really care. My husband tried it too, and he was like, nah, that's okay. So I was talking to my little sister about it because she also gets Hungry Root boxes, and she said she's been so intrigued by that. And I was like, my summary of these is that we would never intentionally buy them again. If I get them for free in another Hungry Root box, okay, fine, but I'm not going to intentionally seek them out or buy them. And then we had a new Hungry Root meal last night. Well, all of them are new to us, but we had, it was supposed to be General Tso's chicken and then a mixed medley vegetable thing. And it was a weird mixture of vegetables to have with General Tso's that I wouldn't have put together. It was like chunks of green squash, yellow squash, whole cherry tomatoes, garlic, and red onion. And the squash ended up being fine. You're supposed to just like pan fry everything, and like that was fine. I don't like cooked tomatoes, so I just completely avoided them. So that was fine. The chicken though was weird. So apparently this is a thing with Hungry Root, that all the meat that they send you is pre-cooked. And so it was like pre-cooked chicken that you put in a pan and break up and then heat through, and then you mix the sauce in. Well, I would never in a million years be able to tell you that that sauce was supposed to be General Tso's. And the chicken was also, if you've ever had like a chicken cheesesteak, that kind of chicken. So it was just weird. It was weird. We didn't love it. So that one is going to get a no from me. But tonight we're either going to do Mediterranean bowls or the egg salad sandwiches, because they give you so much bread when you order like one of the sandwich meals, and I'm afraid that the bread's going to start to go bad if we don't eat it. So I don't know what we're going to end up doing tonight. I'll have to see what my husband wants to do, like which one he prefers. But yeah. So that's it for me rambling. When I come up with more books to read, because let's be real, that's what's going to happen, I will update you again. Okay, it is later in the day on Thursday. We just got back from the vet, and I am hanging out in my bedroom just reading. I decided to pick up the next Enola Holmes, which is actually on my May TBR, because it's pretty short and I thought it would just be a fun one to read. I'm about 65 pages into it already and really enjoying it. This is book 7 in the series. There are 9 or 10 at this point, but I can't get the next one until I have this one read, so that's why I'm reading this one. Enola Holmes is just a middle grade series about Enola, who is Sherlock and Mycroft's younger sister, and her own adventures, and I just love them so much. I think they're really fun books. I love the Sherlock Holmes books and movies with Robert Downey Jr. I couldn't think of his name. I love those movies. I know they're making another one, which I'm very excited about. We are back from the vet, and Miss Thing is falling asleep in front of me on the bed. The vet said that she did really well with her nail trim, which is always great. I know she absolutely hates going to the vet. She is just a mess the entire time, but she did a good job. And then he also spent some time looking at her eye, and he said that the spot is actually just a scratch and that it's totally fine. It's not causing her any pain. It's not going to harm her eye in any way, that it should go away within a couple months, but it's also okay if it doesn't, and that's just what her eye looks like from now on. I'm just glad that it's nothing serious, because she is going to be 9 in July, so I was getting a little bit worried that it was going to be something more serious, but just being a smaller dog, she's a Chihuahua mix, she's low to the ground, and so I wonder if it even happened. One day we were out on a walk when it was really, really windy, and she ended up getting some flower petals in her eye we have these like stinky flower trees on the property, and some flower petals got in her eye, and I wonder maybe if it even happened then. I'm not sure, but anyway, so happy that she's all good and that there's nothing actually wrong. So I'm just going to continue reading for a while. My husband is downstairs in his weekly therapy session. We both do weekly therapy and whenever one of us is in therapy, the other one goes and like keeps themselves busy so as not to accidentally overhear, which is like the only downside really for us to doing remote based therapy instead of going into an office. But anyway, that will be for the next like 45 minutes. So I'm just going to be up here reading Enola Holmes and see how far I can get.
We'll move on to the next one. The next one was one I hadn't heard of. It's The Yellow Kitchen by Margot Villeron. A novelist.
Okay, this is the final update for this vlog. I am currently on my couch. I'm just hanging out. It is Friday evening and I finished Enola Holmes and the Black Baroque, which I'm wondering if I did read when I first got it, because the final like twist, I definitely like, it felt very familiar. So I'm wondering if I did read it before, but that's okay. I don't mind if that was a reread because it was super cute, super fun. I finished that one. And then earlier today, I finished Witch King by Martha Wells, which was amazing. I really, really enjoyed that. The next book doesn't come out until October. I have some time to try to not forget everything that I read, but I did really enjoy that one. And then today, I have been reading one off and on throughout the day that is going to be part of my next vlog, so I'm not going to talk about it. But this week was a pretty good week for reading. I DNF'd that one book, Hurricane Season, and I finished some other ones, started even more, but that's okay. So thank you so much for watching this. Let me know what you guys read this week, what you're currently reading, and that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye.